What's going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new bowl of broccoli and sweet potato puree. Today we're going to be talking about setting up the expense form, or the we already did that, the edit expense form, updating our expenses with the exact same form we created in the last video. Now, there are several ways to do this, and you can go about it however you want, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be, the architecture of it is going to be almost the same, meaning how is the structure of it, right? How it's going to work. So what I'm going to do is that in the home page, I want to be able to click on something that has, like, for instance, I'm already going to tell you. I want to click on this description and the created ad. This whole thing is going to be a link, and once we click on it, it's going to redirect us to the edit page with this expenses ID, because remember, the IDs are unique for every expense, and we could actually grab the one expense that we want with that ID. So I want to be able to go to the edit page where it says /edit, but it's also going to say / and then our random character for the ID. So let's go back to home. So how are we going to do that? Well, we've already explored a couple of ways, or we already explored routers, right? Routers right here where we have a route, and then within route we could have a link and nav link and all those things, right? So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be using the link one, the link component. So let me go back in here. In here, I'm going to need to import link. So link from React router DOM, and we're going to be using link. We're going to be enclosing link with around this. So I'm just exit out for this. Cut that out and put the link tag right here. And then inside of link, we're going to be creating putting in our H3. So that way this is clickable. And once they click on this, where do we want to go? We want to go to, and instead of using the regular string, I'm going to be using this template syntax where we use the ticks, like right above your tab key. There's a ticks. Don't forget about the curly braces, JavaScript expression. We're going to be using the ticks to create a template string because we're going to be injecting the ID we've already have up here. We're going to be injecting that ID to the parameters up here. So where do we want to go? We want to go to /edit / and this is how you add a new ID or a new parameter ID, just like that. So once you control save this, it's going to re-render, and look at that. All of our links turn into blue. All of our descriptions turn blue, meaning that that's a link. So if I click on this, you can see that we get our random string, our ID for that one expense. Now you might be wondering, okay, so we have it in the params, but it's not really useful in the params. We would have to use JavaScript to actually grab that and then, do something down here with it. Well, the neat thing about it is that we could actually do something in routers that would make that so much simpler. So we're going to have to configure routers just a bit. So instead of just having /edit, we're going to have /edit /:ID, meaning that whatever comes in as a second parameter, not edit /ID, whatever comes in as a second parameter, like we're passing in here our second parameter, our ID, is going to be in the parameter in ID. So you're gonna figure out what I mean about that. So let's go back to home. Let's actually click on truck rental. As you can see up here, we have our unique identifier. So let's inspect. Let's go to components. We're gonna use our React Dev Tools. We're gonna go to BudgetEdit because this right here, this is from the BudgetEdit component right here. And as you can see in our props, we have this thing called match. Now, it's an object, but if you open that object, you see params in there. And this is where we get our ID. You see that? Our ID, params.id, gives us our unique ID, which is pretty awesome. So that's how we're going to be extracting this bit right here from the parameters, from the URL, from there. Yeah, that's how we're going to be grabbing it. Now let's actually grab it and actually make that useful. Let's make this part useful. Okay, so we're going to go into BudgetEdit. This is our BudgetEdit component, and we're going to be connecting to the store here. The reason why we need to connect to the store is because just like we did with Budget Home or Budget Add, we connected to the store to actually get some stuff from the store or actually do a dispatch. Now, like I said in the last video, that form we created is for the add and the edit. So we're going to be doing almost the exact same thing we did in the last video here. So back in, where is it at? BudgetEdit. We do need to connect. So we're going to import connect from React Redux. And down here, instead of exporting BudgetEdit, we're going to do connect. But we do need to pass in our budget edit, not buffer, BudgetEdit. Control Z, save this for now. We are going to need a state. We're actually going to need it. The reason why is because we're going to be grabbing an expense from our store, our one expense that has this ID from our store. So yeah, we're going to have to do it. So const map state to props is going to equal to, we're going to grab a state, and we're actually get props from it as well. Props. And we're going to return an expense, state dot expense, expenses dot find. I'm going to be using the dot find method to actually loop through the array and find the one expense that we actually want. And it takes in, it's going to get an expense back. What we're going to do is we're looking for the one that we actually want, and the one we want is the one from the parameters up here. So I'm going to say expense dot ID. Every expense has an ID. If that equals props dot match dot params dot ID, this is dot, if that matches the params ID, which is up here, then that's the one we're looking for. That's the one we want back. So yeah, this find method is pretty good to find one, and which is the expense.id, or find multiple that you want. So we have that set up. Now expense, once we have props up here, props, now we're going to have access to this expense, which is going to be the expense that we want. And we can actually see what's going on if we just do console. I'm going to just do log props dot expense. Control save. I'll go to home, click on truck rental. I get 2 errors. Let's see what's going on here. Oh. I am super sorry. This is not right. I'm actually make this a little bit more like that, closing with the bracket, so that way I could say return right there. It is a little bit confusing. Don't worry, I am going to just like so. Okay, now up here, paste that, control save. We shouldn't get any errors. Okay, remember when we did this is a shorthand version of just return, and we just got rid of all of this and just put the parentheses just right there, so that way we could just return one thing. Well, now I actually want to count to log something, so that's why we wrapped it around brackets and then put the return there. But anyways, once we go back home click on truck rental. We're getting undefined because we haven't even put that in there. So sorry. Control save that now. We'll go back to home, truck rental. We still get undefined. Let's see what's going on. Let me get rid of expense. Control save. Home, truck rental. We got our history. We get the one expense, which is undefined. Why do I keep on adding brackets where it's not needed? I don't know. Yeah, it's because we haven't picked one. So let's go right here. There you go. Our expense. There it is. Get rid of the brackets I put in here. I mistakenly put brackets around this where we shouldn't. Sorry about that. But as you can see, we get our expense back. So now that we have that running, or we're grabbing the one expense that we actually want, what I'm going to do is get rid of this. We're going to actually import our expense form in here. So import expense form from expense form. And just like we did with our budget add over here, we're going to get rid of this. Well, I'm going to leave that there. We're going to add expense form. And like I said, it's almost the exact same thing. So what I want to do right here on submit, because we already have that function or that method inside that prop inside of the form, expense form component, we're going to be grabbing or getting an expense back. And all I'm going to do is log out for right now. When it is submitted, I want to say updated. And we're going to grab the expense from that to see what's going on. Now, the one thing is that since we have our expense in this page, but this component doesn't know about this expense. So what we need to do is actually pass that expense down to this expense component, the expense form component. So we're going to add another prop down here. We're going to call this expense. We're going to set that equal to props.expense. Just like that. Now our expense form component has access to the props.expense, which is the whole expense that we get. Now let's actually update our expense form. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky. And the reason why is because now that we're grabbing props from another component being passed down, we do need to set that as our default description amount note created at. Right now it's set to null, but now that we have that, we need to set that up. Okay, but remember this form is a component for budget edit and also budget add. So this is why I said it's going to be kind of tricky. I'm pretty sure you forgot already. We need our constructor so that way we get our props that are being passed down. So we're gonna set up a constructor. Props. I'm pretty sure you forgot about all this, and it's because we haven't even touched on. We touched on it a lot, but we haven't done this a lot because there's not really a need, and you're gonna see that a lot. Instead of state, we're gonna actually need to set up this dot state. Set that equal to, and I'm just going to grab this and paste it in here. Now get rid of this. Now you can control save this now. It should still all work the same. Let's see. Well, it should have. Props, not porps. Props. Control save. Everything should still work the same. We should not have errors going on unless you misspelled like I did. Now, to get to the point on like how to actually grab what's being passed in and what's not. Like I said, this is being used in two components. So we're going to have to, take that in consideration. So for the description, we're actually going to say, we're going to use a ternary. operation where if else kind of thing. So if there is a props.expense coming in, then we want to set the description to props.expense.description. If not, then let's set it to an empty string. Now the same goes for the amount. If there's a prop expense, then let's get the props expense amount. If not, then let's set it to an empty string. Now we can actually do the same thing for note. Copy this. If there's a note, then use a note. If not, let's go to created moment. Created moment is going to be just a little bit different. The reason why is because we could actually grab it. Let's grab it. Paste it. We're not going to be setting up a null. It's going to be moment. Today's date. If it is, then we're going to get props.expense.created at. Now, created at is a moment object, so we need to treat it as such. So we need to pass it inside moment. Pass that inside moment so nothing could go wrong, because moment is when you actually pass this in, it's going to give you an object back. Remember that, guys? So this is why we pass in moment, or pass it inside moment of itself, to grab the one we actually, or the format that we actually want. Now we could actually test if it's working. Let's go back to home, click on one, coffee. We do get coffee. It was $16, and was it $131? Let me see. Yeah, $131. Let's say, and the note. Let's see the note. This is per bag. Yeah, awesome. If we go back, let's go to truck rental. We get our truck rental. We get 100 and 127 and no note. Awesome. Now, let me actually get rid of this. Let's go to console. Now, if I actually add expense, we should see our updated. Yeah, we see our updated, but obviously nothing was updated. Obviously, but if we actually type something in, let's say truck rental, let's add a note. Cybertruck. Add expense. We should get an updated expense right here with a note. Cybertruck. Awesome. And it gives you the little ASCII for a return key, which is correct. We can actually get rid of that. Oops. Nope. Add expense. So there it is. It's gone. But as you can see, it is actually getting updated. Now in our expense, our budget edit, we do need to add that edit expense action that we've already created inside of expense actions. We have our edit expense, and that's what we're going to be doing. So let me actually go to budget add, so I could just copy this. Copy it. I'm just paste it down here. Instead of add expense, we want the edit expense, and that's what we're going to be using down here. So instead of county login, we're going to do props.dispatch. Dispatch edit expense, and we're going to be passing in. Now, I don't know if you remember, but we do need to pass in two things: our ID and the expense. As you can see, let's go back to our expense actions. Right here, we move or edit expense. We're expecting the ID of the expense, so that way we know which one we want to edit, and also the updates. So back in here, we want to pass in the IDs, which lives in props.expense.id, and we want to pass in the update, which is this expense being returned. After that, we do want to go to props. We want to go to the home page, so props.history.push, and let's go back to the home page. Control save this, and let's see if it's working. Let's go to home. Let's go to truck rental. Let's add a note, Cybertruck, and it's going to cost me $20. add expense. We're getting errors. Let's see what that is. Cannot read property ID of undefined because I spelled this wrong. X props.expense, right? Expense, yes. Now if you do this, let's go to home again. Truck rental, cyber truck, and it's going to cost me $20. Add expense. As you can see, we go back to the home page. We get truck rental amount $20. Note cyber truck. Now let's go back inside. Let's actually change the date. Let's see. I'm gonna start paying it on April 30th. Add expense, and we have a problem. We don't have a problem. We don't have a problem. It actually does right here. I was looking at this one down here, but it's sorted by date. So 4/30 or April 30th, we're gonna pay amount $20 for a Cybertruck, which isn't that bad. But that is it, guys. I just wanted to add the budget edit. Actually, one thing, we could actually get rid of this edit route right here because we don't want this to be showing at all. We want them to redirect there by clicking on one of these. So let's actually get rid of the edit. So that lives inside the header component, and here it is, edit. We could just get rid of this. Control save. Now we don't have it down up there, which we do not want at all. And if we click on one, we should go to the edit. Yep, budget snob edit still with all of our stuff. Let's go back home. Coffee. Awesome. Everything's still working. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you actually learned something. If you liked it, please leave a like. Give it a thumbs up. Comment down below on what you think about the video, or what could I do better, or anything. I would love to hear your opinions. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I do appreciate the time you spend watching these videos. So thank you, guys. And on the next video, we're going to actually focus on filtering by date. Yes, we do it at some amount, but the thing is, we have it hard coded in app.js right here, down here. This is our date range. We want expenses from this range. And we're going to be doing that in the next video where we don't have to keep on doing this because this is kind of annoying. But that's in the next video. So thank you, guys. I'll see you in the next video.